Well, what I want to do is take you through a few of the features associated with SpotOnResponse, which operates both on a browser, on a regular computer, on tablets, on mobile phones in both the Android and iOS formats. And there are a set of general things that it does that are appropriate. Some of them may be critical to you, other ones not. But this is sort of the big picture of what SpotOn does. Hazard awareness to begin with, then tracking response operations and allowing those responders to be able to interact with each other and back to a command center. Personnel notification, assignments, and tracking of where those people are. And when I say people, that's really any device. So somebody who's assigned to a truck or a backhoe, the device that they're carrying, the phone they're carrying, that can be interpreted as being a tracking device for the backhoe or for a truck. Resource check-in, so you know who's doing what. Being able to carry all your plans in your pocket as part of the mobile planning tools. Field observations coming in from anybody who is out there in the field with a device. I refer to this as, you've heard a lot about crowdsourcing. I refer to this as the trusted crowd. These are people who you know, who you've given a login to, and who are out there. As a result, in your case, they would be guardsmen. But in other instances, they're volunteers. And as you know, with the California Earthquake Clearinghouse, a whole bunch of scientists and engineers out there doing stuff. And then finally, deployment analysis, that we are able to really track and use the location of people and the resources that are available and the problems that are out there, and do some pretty clever analysis. So with that said, we'll come back to that at some other times, but I'm now going to bring up right here the actual tools. On the right-hand side, this is a live browser, plain old, whatever this is, Chrome. On the left-hand side, this is the let me just change the setting here one little bit. All right. This is the live view of my phone, which happens to be an Android phone. As I slide things across, you see things move. And we'll get back over here to the SpotOnResponse icon that brings up SpotOnResponse for me. So I have two different instances. This is Jim Morentz over on the right-hand side, and think of that as the command center. And then over on the left-hand side, that's somebody out in the field. I think his name is Tom or somebody like that. So we'll be able to move information back and forth, and hopefully you get a sense in all those different areas that we talked about of what it is that we're looking at. So the first topic was hazard awareness. We connect into a whole lot of things. The project we're going to be adding significantly more over the next 3 months. But all of the National Weather Service weather warnings, we connect into the wildfire tracking out of MODIS. We've got all the, obviously through the Earthquake Clearinghouse, U.S. Geological Survey and California Geological Survey sensors, so we can detect and depict up on the screen sensors down to a magnitude of just 1 if you want to see the little things that are happening. Tsunami reports, the hurricane and cyclone tracking. And when you see this on the left-hand side, you see this stupid phone go away. I don't know what's going on with my computer. I almost delayed this for half an hour because Windows was trying to do some sort of an update. So you may see the phone on the left-hand side. It seems to go away and then reconnect for itself. So not sure what's going on there. And that's just the connection between my computer and this silly device. So hazard awareness, and just wanted to show you a little bit here. This is some of the earthquake information that we have. This is, yeah, I didn't want to do that one. I want to do one of those. But let me bring up these, the way that you do that. So there are a whole bunch of GIS layers. I can quickly turn them all on or all off, but I then have a list of available ones. And what you're seeing here is actually out of the Golden Guardian exercise 2014 or 15, I forget which one. So the information you see here came out of exercises. So these are the kind of hazard overlays. There are things here that are other than hazard, but I just want to refer to those. But here, the earthquake overlay that you saw up there, and simply by turning it on and off, you're able to select which of the overlays that are available to come in. We've got, just pick another colorful one over here. If I recall, this one looks pretty good. Yeah, there it is down in that area. It's the synthetic aperture radar that was done. These were satellite based. If we were in one of the other exercises where they were using drone based synthetic aperture radar, and this actually showed Earth movement that took place. So in this simulated emergency, the Earth movement occurred up, mostly out from the coast of the fall. Just hit a couple of these other ones so that you can get a picture of what we've got going here in terms of this kind of overlays that are available. Let's take, what do we have here? These show up well. These moving now from hazard of transitory events like weather and other things into fixed facilities that are in fact themselves hazards. And these come directly from California Department of Toxic Substances, and you see all these little points that are shown up there. These are registered locations where toxic substances hit. So, and we used this stuff during the wildfires to be able to go in, see a wildfire perimeter, and actually I don't have that. It's in one of the other archive functions, but picture these blue and red things that you have there as the wildfire perimeters. And we could then go in and say, okay, you got this registered storage location for toxic substances in this post-closure permit from, here's the contact person, and I can click on here, I think one of these places, and I won't do it. That goes and actually gives you the registry information of what's actually in that location. So that's the second part of that sort of general awareness that exists coming from other sources. And Chad, Exchange Corps has one way to get that information in, bring it in directly into SpotOnResponse, and create these, what we call here just plain old GIS layers. You've seen them in other applications, and they allow you to provide the kind of information that you need from other systems, but key thing over here, in a mobile device. So if I've got the same set of information here, all these different GIS layers, and I want to come down here and let's take that, what was one of those pretty ones? Oh, here's a chlorine leak. That'll be a good one. You see it's the same on here as well. Somewhere in here is a chlorine leak. Yeah, there we go. So actually let me turn that off and just give the first illustration of how I have parallel activities taking place and tracking. Here's my chlorine leak plume. That's an Aloha chemical plume. And if I come in here on my mobile device, and this is everybody in the field, and again, sort of, I keep envisioning, okay, let's deploy this to every single California National Guardsman. And if that becomes our logic, what can we put in the hands of the Guardsmen that are going to be exceptionally helpful to be able to get that information out and be able, oh, that's right, I have to keep doing this every time this thing turns on and off just to make the two of them work together. But if I come in here and zoom into this area and I'm dragging these things you're going to see over there, there we go. Same chemical plume. So I got people out in the field, and they're out in the field, and what that allows us to do is to say, you know what, I've got myself over here, This is me because I'm tracking the people. Oh, I'm sorry. Everybody else, Mark and Rodney, Dick, Solon, if you remember how, move yourself to this area so we can have more of you in this area. And actually, I'll show you how to do that. All right. Sorry, I'm swinging into a slightly different mode here because Chad, did you download the app? I don't see you on here.
I downloaded it several months ago, and
Okay.
when I tried to log in, when I got your email this morning, it said authentication. I know that's not right. It said it failed, so I'm wondering if I forgot my password or.
Yeah. Okay. Well, here's somebody just relocated into that area. This is what you would see from other people, and if I click on that, it's going to tell me he's out in the Sunset District, and whoever that is Tom Kinsella. Okay, that's this guy. All right. So Tom's over here, so you can see that Tom's there, and I am up here. This is me when I'm on the on this. Oh, come on, you stupid connection. It'll be back in a second. So anyhow,
while you wait for it to come back, do you have to move yourself, or does SpotOn know where you are based on your mobile device?
In fact, it always knows where you are, and you have to say, stop showing me where I am right now, because Mark is in Texas and Rodney is in New Mexico and Solon is in Colorado. So you wouldn't see them on this map. So okay. It is all GPS based. And if you have location services on, as I do on this computer, then it's also going to track me using my Wi-Fi connection to know where I am. And that's really, really very, very accurate as well. So location-based services, you turn those on, and you're always going to be able to see where everybody is live. The idea of being able to move somebody to a specific location is something that we built in right up here in the set location under the tools menu, and build it in for a couple of reasons. One of them is that for exercises, I continue to run exercises in California by moving out there. And this is me up there right now. If I move myself over here or jump out there to the other side of the Golden Gate, you're going to see that now becomes me. So I'm able to move around. So for exercises, I can simulate an event where nobody is currently happening. Real key tool, because this is a huge exercise capability. Secondly is for privacy. Some people say, hey, I don't mind you tracking me during an emergency when I'm on duty, but I want to know that you're not tracking me otherwise. At that point, they can put their set location in the office or wherever, and people would not see them moving around the building and going to the bathroom or whatever. Third level on that security, you're only tracked when you are actually in the app. So that's the first thing. If you're in the app, know you're being tracked. If you don't want to be tracked while you're in the app, you can do a set location. And for exercises and other simulation purposes, we can move you anywhere in the country or the world, and you can participate in an emergency. So I've now moved myself there, and for anybody else who's online and managed to download the app, feel free to move in. Let's see, there's somebody who just joined us over here in San Francisco, and let's go down there and see. There's Mark Bracken just joined us. Mark is, as I mentioned, in Texas. His current status is that he's okay, and that's one of the things that we'll take a look at in a minute, is that ability to know my people. Well, actually, while we're talking about it now, let's jump out of order a little bit. While we're talking about it, I've got Mark there. I know that he's now involved. I know his physical location. And I apologize. I don't understand why this Stupid thing. It's plugged in and everything. Anyhow, so we've got people. I can go off and I can see that that's Tom Kinsella, as we just saw. We got Mark Bracken over there. But as a administrator or manager, I want to know a little bit more than that. So I've got this profile report. And what that's going to give me is everybody who's been logged in. And there we see Chad Penner. You successfully logged in August of this last year. If I click on the last activity, I'm going to sort these by time, and we've got me. My current status is not available. Rodney Robertson is okay. Mark's okay. Solon's under a special condition. Tom has no status yet. We'll get to that in a minute, but this is the place where I look at my entire roster of people, and I have all the phone information, what organization they've associated with, their current latitude, longitude position, and then I can have other information. And you see not everybody's filled this in, but you can build a set of profile information about your people. So you might want to have skills or capabilities, when they're going to be available, what their home phone number is. The rows and the data that you build in is easily done by an administrator who would just jump in here, say, I'm going to do my admin tool, I'm going to do my profile administration, and I simply build those categories that we just saw that then become something that people go in, fill out their profile, and then you know more about the people. Now, again, National Guard, I know you got tons of stuff doing on that. Your PERSAT, I think that was the name of the system, on all the individual status and capabilities and all that stuff. But when people are out in the field on a day-to-day basis, there may be 2 or 3 additional dynamic things that you want them to keep track of, and this could be a place to use that. So that touches you a little bit on the people side of things. And we've taken a look at the hazard awareness data, a little bit about people. And what I want to do is make certain over here that my phone is turned on to allow me to get notifications. And it disappeared again, huh? Boy. If I had built this software, I'd be really angry. Let's see. So, I not recognize this. Okay. Hopefully it'll come back there in a second. Come on, give me something here.
For what we're looking at, this exercise, are there event rooms, or are there, when you first sign in, do you have to choose a specific event?
No. You're going to always get the current event or events that are going on. If there are multiple things going on and you say, I don't actually care about the earthquake that's over on the right-hand side here, I'm interested in the tsunami on the left-hand side, there's high-level filtering that takes place here. And I don't know whether we built any of this stuff. Yeah, there haven't. What are you talking about? Let's see whether I had... Okay, I'll just do this one. Let's see. I only want to... I think part of the things that we have in here are liquefaction. My event is called... I'm just groping for some piece of information. Oh, maybe it was down there. Yeah, I don't know. Remember this data well enough. So there we go. Okay. You saw there that when I took off the liquefaction one, I'll do it the other way around. Let's see whether this gets us anything. You see all the events that we have down here at the bottom. You see we've got some landside failure ones. You got a whole bunch of things out there. What we've done now is eliminated everything but whatever it was that I typed in there. So using the filtering thing, and you need to have, you need to be thinking through this process more than I'm doing right now. I only want to, let's do it this way. I only want, since somebody probably did these and as a result they may mean something, I only want to see the things that are associated with bridges. So if I have, and you're going to see here in a second, if I have 3 events going on, I would set it up so that I'm only looking at the event that I want. So you're not actually going into a room, which in my opinion always sort of isolated me, because I couldn't get out of that room unless I left the room and knew something else was happening. This way I can say, hey, I'm working on everything that has to do with bridges right here. It does that dynamically. So if somebody actually only wants to know what's going on with the Golden Gate Bridge, they could type Golden Gate Bridge up there in that filtering system. And I can also go right in here and say, I wonder what else is going on. And just by turning off the filters, I'm now going to see everything show up, and I'm back to looking at the whole picture of the emergency. So that's the way we do our segmentation, is by that dynamic definition. And that dynamic definition, I couldn't do it very well here to demonstrate for you, is based on these what categories. So these are some of the ones that the clearinghouse put in. These are done dynamically. So if I say, okay, we are now opening landfill fire incident on Fort something or other, just making something up. When I kick that incident off and we say, this is what I want everybody to do, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to go to my IOI type, add a new one, and it's now going to be landfill fire. And that quickly, I have now created this brand new category that everybody who's going to enter information into about the landfill fire simply selects. And from this point on, I now have who's showing up at scene and bringing fire truck. And you could give status information, reasons, dispositions, other things. You can add, if I choose to, instead of just having a point, which will match an icon, I could come in here and do a circle that might be of interest, or I might want to, let's see, switch. Let me close that and I'll switch to a different one so that you can just see the variety of different drawing capabilities that exist. Here's a polygon, and since what I really want to do is put that over, let's say it's going to be in this area over here just so that we can see. All right, save that. So that landfill fire is now over there in that area, and I'm now building a brand new set of information that somewhere over there, we're going to see that landfill fire show right up there, and there's the information that I had entered about it. So jumping around a little bit from people to this is what a person would do, either in the command center to say, this is the fire that we're going to be dealing with, and I want everybody to now start focusing on that fire. Well, if that's all I want to see, I'm going to come up here and I'm going to say, I've got a landfill fire. And actually, let me get rid of that bridge thing. Okay, landfill. Now we're going to get rid of everything except for that landfill. So now everything that I'm associating with is going to be that particular landfill fire. And if I actually close this, we'll be able to see that happen. Okay, so we got rid of everything else. This is the GIS layer, so let me turn that off so we're not confused by that. So that's how I begin to build that room as you describe it. From this point on, if this is me I'm going to do a couple of things, and this continues in with that discussion of personnel and their notification, assignment, and tracking. So this is me. Jim's out there, and I've been offered the instruction to get to this landfill fire in some way or another. Well, if I'm sitting there looking at it, I'm going to see that that suddenly showed up. But let's say I'm not looking at the my application right now. I want to make an announcement to people about that. So this is now command center saying, hey, we've got a landfill fire that you need to identify your availability and report if you can. All right, a couple steps we're going to do here. First of all, I'm going to save that. And you hear that siren going off? That's on the mobile phone that you can't see, unfortunately. And what the heck is that going on? All right, let me try this one round. Just while take one second to breathe here. And so everybody who's in SpotOnResponse is now, all right, I'm waking up over here. Everybody who is in SpotOnResponse got this message saying you need to report to the landfill fire if you can. Up here, I'm now going to come over here, just my SpotOnResponse on my phone now that it's shown back up again briefly. And I'm going to go over here on my status map, having just received that sorry, I missed showing you the notification. Here comes the notification that I'm now seeing because it has just gone ahead and made the siren happen. So we both have that same notification. And they also said landfill fire. So if I come down here right now, oh, again, just a quick note, I'm jumping around here a little bit. These things you'll note are all from distance for where I am. Down at the bottom, the Sunset District damage, 0.8 of a mile, water leaks are 1.5 miles away. Because I'm all location based and it knows where I am, it says you're probably going to be more concerned about something that's a mile away than 100 miles away. So all the information in my mobile device and are sorted by distance. If I click on that D, it changes it and resorts it into alphabetical. So I can now roll down here, find my L's, and see where my, where's my landfill fire down here. S, G's, H, we got lots of stuff here, don't we? And I was just notified of a landfill fire. I, J, whoop, whoop, whoop. Of course, I go by it. Landslide, landslides. I should have picked something that was less land. Where's my landfill? All right, now I'm even more.
Called it landslide.
Oh, did I?
I think.
Oh, okay. That's a second.
And I was on mute.
Tell you what, I can come up here and do exactly the same thing that I did before. Sorry, I don't know why that's. Oh, I know, because that wasn't the name. That's silly me. That was the category type. So I shouldn't be looking for it there. But anyhow, let me come over here. You'll note that everybody has their own personal filtering. So if I just now go do landfill, I'm going to end up looking at the same thing as they do over there on the right. That is going to allow me to get rid of everything else except for that landfill. So what I clumsily did there was tell everybody, somebody back at the command center said, hey, we've got this fire. I announced to everybody in my entire system or in particular organizations or parts of it that it's time to report out to this fire. And I've got my alert that has gone out. I now know that I've got these troops are showing up at the screen. That's right, I didn't even call it a landfill, did I? So I didn't even put that word in there until we get to the what category. Anyhow, so I've got now the information that was provided to me about that. I'm located here. I have driving directions to get over to where that fire is. And I've been asked, can I report? Well, I'm going to do two things. First of all, I'm going to come over here and I am going to back to my home and I'm going to go to my status. First thing I should have done even before I looked at it. And I'm going to say, am I available? Am I not available? Special condition. You undoubtedly have military terms for these things. The words in there get changed for every different installation. So if you'd rather say, on deck or whatever the phrase would be. But all I have to do is come in here and click and say, I'm okay. So now we've just had the earthquake. We put out a message saying landfill fire. And the question is, how is everybody? Well, you know what? We now know that Jim at least is okay. And if I'm back in my command center, and I'm over here, and I want to find out how Solon's doing. He says he's got a special condition. Tom's, oh, that's me. I'm sorry. The guy on the left is Tom. So there's the, is that the one? Not who I am, please. When it's actual real people doing this, it's a lot easier than one guy trying to be an entire army force. So yes, there we go. He switched from no status to I'm okay. It gets updated every 30 seconds or so. So that's me over here. And what I've now done is said, okay, back at the command center, they know that I'm okay. What I now want to tell them is I'm going to help you on that fire. And again, you've got much more sophisticated ways of doing this. So I'm just showing you the features and we can see how they apply because there may be some volunteer component. I've now decided, yep, I'm going to show up to this fire. I've got my driving directions out to the fire. And I come up here to the little pencil icon and I say check in. I simply check in. It says I'm now part of the team. And it now knows that I'm over here as part of the team. I'm going to be proceeding to that. And back here, if I come back and take a look at this, back in the command center at the management level, this resource has just gone from 0 to 1. People are my resources. And there's this guy on the left-hand side, Tom Kinsella, who's now joined the team. So I've taken that personnel notification. I've given them instructions. I've made a request for their assignment, which is probably not what you do. You probably don't ask people whether they want to do things. And they have said, yep, I'm available to do it, and I'm going to actually go off and do it, and I'll be there at some time in the future. So let me stop right there and with just one more notice. That's, yeah, I'll do it on this one just very, very quickly. If I come back here, and you'll note that this is a little person icon over there, and what we have done is focus on people so far, but if I would prefer to be treated as a fire truck, I select that off, and my icon now becomes a fire truck. Again, you've got asset tracking systems that go far beyond this, but on the mobile device, to know that that person, that device is representing a fire truck is one way of doing that. So let me pause there because that's the resource tracking and resource check-in, because I would also be able to know that the fire truck was going to that particular scene at that time and track its movement. Every 30 seconds, I'm updating the location of every device that's on here, every little person and everything else. So I would be able to watch it showing up on the scene. So let me pause there. I want to go off and take a quick look at some mobile plans and then how to do field observations. and then we'll take a final look at the deployment analysis, and then you can ask me whether it does things, and I'll make up answers if we do it and I haven't shown it to you. So let me just pause right there. Any questions, thoughts?
I think we're good so far.
All right. Well, let me then just take you over here, and I'll use the bigger view so that you can see it more easily. But I'm over here, and we've got a bunch of stuff that's happening. And one of the things that we have is just to show you how this works. This is the Parnassus Medical Center, and people have been responding to it. If I want to know more about the Parnassus Medical Center, and again, somewhere down here in the bottom, it says Parnassus Medical Center. But I can use this details and directions to get there directly from the map. And from the map, that was me up here, but it tells me how to get to the Parnassus Medical Center. And there are a number of things that I want to know about Parnassus if I'm a responder or I want to know what potential victims are. So I've got a plan here, a little plan tab. I click on that. I've got a hospital emergency checklist. So this is the idea of everybody walking away with plans that are specific or having sent to them dynamically when an emergency happens, plans or checklists that they should be following in order to carry out the emergency. Or in this case, somebody coming in from the civilian side can have some idea of what the hospital emergency people are going to be doing. The floor plan, that's another thing. Floor plan of the building. I need to make egress into or ingress into this. I can have floor plans of all my facilities shared either on people's devices permanently or shared out dynamically. So that's the mobile planning component to it. These resources, I'm just going to click on that. There are people who have checked in previous uses of this system, people who have checked in saying, hey, I'm going to be going to the Parnassus Medical Center. And we also have an observation here, and that takes me into the field observations. And it's a field picture. And there's the Parnassus Medical Center. If this wing had been broken, somebody could take that picture and go off and do that. And let me just shift over to the mobile side right now. And this is, all this stuff is going to now happen. There's where Tom Kinsella is. And that's me over here now. So what I want to do is go back to my main page. And it's time for me to start reporting. I'm now out there doing some field observations. And I'm going to click on that. Automatically fills in some base information. So if in fact this is an emergency and I have nothing else to say, I can just submit that and say, hey, I'm out here. My name's Tom. And you know what? We've got an issue going on here. So that's the first level of spot reporting. Second level of spot reporting says, okay, I'm there, but over here, I'm going to come in here and do some stuff. And I'm doing this on the computer rather than on my device, so it's a little bit more cumbersome. But anyhow, I can say at the hospital doing observation and able to see no victims. Something like that. And I can then go off and say, I want to do something about that. So I'm going to use my camera. And you're now looking at my computer sitting right here. And the computer screen that I have, and there's my messy desk. And I'm just going to take a picture of that. And it's going to come back to me in a second and say, hey, is that okay? You want to use that? And I touch OK. I've got the picture that's there. I come over here and touch done. And I have now associated a picture with this particular report that I'm making. I come over there to the submit, click submit again, and those things are now part of the record associated with me and my relationship with the nearby facilities, which was that Parnassus Medical Center. So what I've got coming up here, if I go back to the beginning here, back in the command center now, what I'm going to see is Tom Kinsella. That was who I was, right? Yeah. So when this cycles through it, again, we're updating across the network. So about a 30 second or so connection's going to take place. And what I should be seeing over here is my spot report showing up. And
Hey, Jim. Can you do multiple pictures?
yes, you can just,
Video?
I think I'm not connected on this device because of the stupid stuff that's going on, but I'll just show you the image there. Sure, I'll do that first picture and say that one's okay.
And video?
Pardon me?
Can you do video?
Yes. If I actually from the
You
device.
have to show me.
Yeah. What I have to do in order to do a video, on the Apple, you can do it that way, directly do a video. Oh, wait, nope, there we go. Pushing the wrong button. Now, I push that video button on this phone. So let's see whether that's moving. Yeah, it doesn't seem to be. I don't know why my video isn't working on that. I think it's this funny connection that I got going here. Yeah, see, it just did a picture. Yeah, but anyhow, yes, you can transfer video through there, and I'm just going to do that, and there are my fingers. I'll say okay. And now you see we've got two different pictures that are up there, but no, I was not able to get that video started directly here, and I think it's because the Samsung Connect that I'm using here is taking over some capabilities of the phone itself. You can also, just by way of illustration, come in here, and if I go off to my gallery, I'm able to, I might even have a video in here to show you, but you can pick any other, if you've been taking a bunch of pictures and then you say, okay, I'm now going to submit these as reports, and I want to do this one and this one of my granddaughter and others. You can do all that. So
Nice.
And actually from the SpotOn perspective, the capabilities are identical in the Android as in the Apple iOS devices. How each of them handles it separately, like that video thing, that's done very differently in the iOS device. So we'd have to see whether that gets messed up as part of this. But in general, yes, is the answer to that. So those are the field observations that people bring in, and when we start to then turn and look at some of the data that's already on here that I'll do just as an illustration. Here's a spot report that somebody put in. They say it's lateral spreading from that specific location. You come off and look at that, and I'm able here to now look at that and say, I've got an observation that takes place. That observation is an impassable area, and it has a picture of some sort. So that's been submitted by somebody from the field during that Golden Guardian exercise. If I come over, let's see, do I have any here that I know are particularly interesting? Oh, that's one that's at least a little bit useful to see. You get a bunch of icons there. You click on them. They all span out, and I can identify that that happens to be the Oakland Springs Medical Center. If I click on that one, I get my directions to go directly there. And again, I'm going to know a little bit about that by the observations. And these are photos of the outbuildings that are attached. So you got other pictures of that medical center. So people, pictures, documents, you saw the planning things, got a bunch of stuff associated with this area. That's the earthquake fault, a whole bunch of things with that. Road closure symbol there. So that's closed, and I've got some updated information there just to sort of give you an idea of the kind of things that are done in the, I'll call it real world of exercising, where we've got, here's a report that came out of some formal observation tool that the California Geological Survey, I think, used about this particular interchange. They can output that as a PDF and immediately connect it in, as well as police radio reporting a great big backup that's taking place around this building. It's just other stuff that's floating around out there. There's that specific interchange. So you can see some of the robustness that is used to create exercise simulation information, as well as the kinds of observations that come in, the kinds of reports, and do we have any? These things have all been reports made by people. I don't think I have any that have come in. Well, actually, a lot of this has come in through Exchange Core. But if maybe some of these out here during the petroleum ones, yeah. These, I think, damage sword potential. Yeah, you see, just it's not obvious to you. But these came in through an automated input.
Hey, Jim, did we lose you?
I think we did. I'm emailing him.
Thank you. What's this place called again? Can we be on mute?
Did you call from that phone?
So is this your first time seeing this, guys?
It is, and it looks like it's similar in some degrees to our Dart. Are you familiar with Dart?
Yeah, I know of it. I'm not.
I mean, in terms of being a common operational picture, I think it looks great so far. What I'm really interested in is getting our Dart. I believe SpotOn is interoperable with Exchange Core, and we really need to get Dart to that point as well. So I'm hoping that that's a part of this.
Right, to get Dart kind of tied in through Exchange Core. Using the Exchange Core infrastructure to tie in Dart.
All right, you guys are back. I lost my internet there for a couple of minutes, which is why I was giving a little lecture on how this whole thing operates when you're offline that you may or may not have heard. When did
No.
No? Okay. Jeez.
We were talking.
All right. So you may have asked some questions. So the quick point that I made was my screen went completely blank, told me I was offline. And when that happens, I still can continue to add information, take pictures, and when it comes back online, it gets reset and synced up with the main operation. And for some reason, I lost my internet connection there for a few minutes. And I kept talking, and I finally said, "Are you guys still there?" And then I realized you're on my internet also. So let me stop that silliness and ask that if you were asking any questions, please repeat them. I wasn't there.
Well, we were more kind of talking, but the one gentleman was talking about Dart and potentially integrating through Exchange Core into this.
Yes, and that would allow anything that was in Dart to show up in SpotOnResponse. And if Dart also created the two-way connection, not just the one-way connection to Exchange Core, which is how we've given them the design to do it, these observations that you're making would show up in Dart. So the two really can become a seamless connection together, and you've seen that work with WebEOC and ArcGIS Online and a whole bunch of other things as well. So
Perfect. That's where he wants to go.
yeah, and that's terrific. I mean, Dart's a super tool, but not everybody's going to use it or be able to use it because of restrictions. And you don't want that for people who are just out there making field observations. So use the right tool for the right job and use that Exchange Core to make the data interoperable. And you end up going a long way in trying to improve the way we do business these days.
Does Dart have the mobile kinds of functionality to tracking on by phones and, that kind of a real mobile presence?
I'm not aware that they do. I think they are a very robust web-based application. But
and they do have the capability to have like a web app, but it isn't as functional as the full computer version.
okay, yeah, I'm in contact with the Dart people about every 6 months or so, just to see how they're doing on making that Exchange Core connection that you guys keep asking them for.
Jim, you were on that conference call back in October, is that right?
Yes.
And when I got off the phone, my understanding was that their engineers, essentially the ball was in their court in terms of source code and maybe partnering with you. Is that correct?
Yes, that's right. And just between us, never heard from them. So
okay, just between us, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, right.
Mr. Buckley is going to be out here teaching us the JIT course, not next week, but the week after, and he committed to spend some time with me, so maybe we'll give you a call.
Yes, please. Let me give me a little bit of lead time on that, but be happy to get on a call with him.
Awesome.
All right, the last piece that I wanted to show you, again, just so that you get the full picture, is, how about over here, is the knowledge map. And actually, maybe I can't show it to you. Is it not installed on this one? No, there we are. Okay. Knowledge map. What the knowledge map does is analyze everything that's on the screen. There are a couple different ways that this happens. The look where it is dark map is designed to say, I know a lot about this area, but my knowledge is dark over in this place. And the way I know is that I've had these items of interest. We talked about them as incidents, but they can be locations of feeding stations and lots of other things. We saw that one about the water supply. I think I at least saw the icon there. So these are things that I know about. It doesn't matter what it is, but somebody has reported it, so it's on the map. And I know that is there, and I'm going to give it a weight of 10 and just beg the question on what the weight means. Then over here, this is an observation of one of these interests. Because some of these items of interest could come in from somebody who I don't know, from Exchange Core or something like that, is why I'm only giving them a lesser observation. If a member, lesser weight, if a member of my team has actually made a physical observation of this, we're saying that's 10 times as important as if it just comes in over the radio. And then finally, people are going to be tracked, as you saw, every 30 seconds. And if those people have gone someplace, they're going to be able to see immediately there, a few hundred yards, quarter of a mile. If they're being tracked in an airplane, they're going to see a much larger area. But if they're being tracked, I want to be able to see where they are so that I can know somebody at least has been roughly in that area. So that's the way I set this up, and I just pulled that up to show you the explanation for it, because what we're now going to do is turn it on, and we're going to see some of these tracks. These are people who have part of the team today who have come in from different places to show up their location here. And as we zoom in here a little bit, you're going to start to see dark spaces and light spaces. So as I look at this, I say, you know what? We do not need to send anybody else right over here. We're doing pretty well in that area. This area, I'm doing okay, but there are some blank spaces. But you know what? This area out by the coast, I got nothing, no awareness of anything that's happening there. So I might at that point click on this guy and say, Tom Kinsella, you ought to head due north and give us an observation about what's happening from here up to Golden Gate Park, because we see nothing that's going on there. So it allows us to be able to help to make some assignments. Here again, a good example. Downtown Oakland, you got lots of things going on there. Hey, Alameda Old Air Station, anything happening out in those developments? We're getting no reports whatsoever. That allows me to be able to say, you know what? We are, in fact, covering the area and are not going to be surprised by something that shows up and we have never been in that area and our people have not been. Could very well mean there's no damage over there, but that's a question to beg. And when you get more observers out there, all your guardsmen reporting from their homes, for example, you're going to be able to fill this area with things that have had observations made. So that knowledge map allows us to be able to provide a little bit of information about what is going on and where I'm aware. A couple of different other things here. If I want to look at it the other way and say, where are all the good things happening, I can turn it into a positive map and say, hey, where all this blue stuff is in the darker blue. I want to be able to do that. And then last piece, if I come in here and make my opacity as 0, then what I'm going to have is be able to track all my people every 30-second intervals as they're driving through there and keep that track record for a specific period of time. Here I've said, I think that I only want to have things over the last 30 minutes. If I made that 6 hours, 12 hours, 2 days, I would then see the tracks of all the different people where they've been during that period of time. So that was the last of the things, a little bit more analytical for the command center than for the mobile side of it, but is actually available on the mobile device if somebody wants to work their way through that. Over here, you've got the same knowledge map capabilities.
That would be great to track snow plows for a county. They could see exactly where they still need to go, and not to mention who's parked at the convenience store for half an hour.
Yep, that's right. Yep, so I take my little fire track icon, turn it, and those are selectable infinitely. Turn that into a snow plow, and I could see it driving around, moving around, and then go back and say, did they get every place? And you get a list of all the streets that they got over the 6 hours since they started their shift. So.
It's on my mind. We're getting an ice storm as I speak.
Oh, are you? Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's a look at SpotOnResponse. It's a subscription service, sort of designed based on the kind of applications and use that you're going to make of it. And if you want to put it in the pocket of every California guardsman, we could work out something.
Great.
All right. Anything else, Chad?
No, so it sounds like in terms of, so I think during a disaster, it would be really great to be able to automatically ingest. We're always all about situational awareness, providing situational awareness to the adjutant general and other leadership as well as customers and decision makers. So I think, having people on the ground making observations that maybe we're unaware of, or making observations and being aware of them prior to hearing them on the news or something to that effect would be very beneficial. But I think at this point, the next step is making DART interoperable with Exchange Core. So as you know, Major Stromberg is on maternity leave. So my goal is to have some serious progress by the time she gets back. But as we spoke earlier, my understanding is that the disconnect and the lack of capability lies with the engineers at DART.
That's right. And, if you're talking frankly to this guy, tell him if he bought a week of my expert's time, this project would be done.
Okay.
And with some of their people working, our guys giving instructions, providing the right code. I mean, this could have been done 2 years ago with very little investment rather than we have spent more time. There's more money been spent talking about this than if we had all agreed to do it in the first meeting. It would have been done with less cost on the part of the government. So you can feel free to pass that on to anybody.
I will.
All right, good. Well, glad we were able to finally catch up, and hope your ice storm isn't too bad in sunny California.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. You got time for just a couple quick questions?
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah. So the GIS, if you were going to add in, basically like a cam, the ODOT cams that are on the interstates, you would just do that through the GIS capability and just like ingest a REST endpoint. Is that basically how it would work?
That's exactly the way it's done. I don't have any cameras on this particular one, but if the camera is internet accessible and I can hit the endpoint, you'll either end up with them as GIS layers or a layer of cameras separately identified like this, or a layer of cameras that would be created, this doesn't have one, but as these resources maybe. And you'd have the whole list of the cameras associated with one of the entries for cameras. So lots of different ways to manage it, but yes, it'd be a publicly accessible endpoint, and it's on here.
Have you been working at all or heard work the HOTS, the Standby Task Force, the open source crowd that they use a lot of OpenStreetMap and Ushahidi and so forth?
Yeah, familiar with all those guys. We've explored every time they come out with something interesting. We take a look at it from the mobile app standpoint. Really solid to stay with Google Maps just because they work brilliantly on either of the applications. So that's why we have stayed on that side. We did do a project last year where we implemented specifically for a customer using OpenStreetMaps. So we're familiar with that, but for the commercial application, feel that's right. There's a thing that I should mention. Because it's Google Maps, you've got all the things of Google. So you want to see how your ice storm is doing for you guys out in Sacramento. I can tell you whether you're going to get home easily. So that's one of the reasons why.
No, that makes sense.
Yeah.
And then, on the symbology, is there a way, I'm assuming, that to bring in, a custom symbol, or to use a symbol perhaps from another source?
Yes. We took, because all this starts in Exchange Core where nobody agrees on terms or on symbols, we took what I think is a pretty innovative way of identifying these. That symbols, if I come and pick up, let's pick up this one, Golden Gate Bridge approach damage. All right. I start out with my symbols by evaluating a symbol against a word or a term or multiple words. So we've got these, this one means it's a bad landslide. This means it's not a landslide. This is a little house that's broken. Well, this house that's broken could very well have come from a number of different places. The first thing this looks for is to say, okay, are there any icons or symbols that match incident-transportation? If there are, I'm going to show it. Or match just the word transportation would be the second thing, I'm going to show it. So I can start to build a matching of a transportation icon that I could get from, the national icon group or get out of your team and say, okay, this one's going to match transportation. Somebody else may call that transit. So I'll also make that same icon match the word transit. And somebody else may very well say, oh, that's actually a road closure. So I'm going to make that same icon match the road closure. So it evaluates in the following order. It starts out with this what field. So if it matches this category, this is that drop-down list category that I showed you before. If it matches this, I match the icon. It then goes to the name. Is there any icon that matches any of these words? And it might very well be bridge is the one that gets shown up out of this whole phrase there. That's going to throw in there. And then the last thing it does is go up and actually read the description and say, anything in here that I can use to match the icon, in which case it might end up showing up with the word closed, which is what that particular icon matched. Well, yeah, as a matter of fact, this matched closed. So it got all the way down there. Didn't have one for that, didn't have one for that, matched the closed ones. So all I need is the icon and the list of all the possible matches you want, and the next day that icon's in there and available. And what is best is everybody else then gets that icon. So you've effectively shared your symbology with everybody else. And all the old data that you have in there, assume that symbology. You work with a ArcGIS or something like that, and you change your symbol, you got to go back in and change everything you had in the past. So we think this is a really clever way of dealing with a very uncertain world when it comes to symbology. More explanation than you expected, right?
No, that's perfect. That's the only way to try to, we're all supposed to be using the same terminology, but we're still not there. Yep. So that's another way to help bridge that. I like that.
All right, anything else?
I think that's it for us. We appreciate your time.
Yep.
Sure, my pleasure.
Yeah,
good questions. I always like to be able to figure out what you guys are thinking in order to be able to direct to them. So appreciate your thoughts and good questions. And Chad, let me know anything about Dart that you can do. And if you see an actual application for SpotOnResponse, more than happy to chat on that one as well.
Awesome. Great. Thank you. Have a great weekend.
You too. Take care. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Jim. Yep, we'll talk to you. Bye-bye.
Thanks. Bye. Dick, Rodney, you both are still on the line. The other guys dropped off. Whoop. Rodney, you're on.
Yes, I'm here, Jim.
All right. Since I'm recording this, if you want to chat at all, just give me a quick call. Otherwise, we can catch up the next time around. But I'll prepare this recording, and everybody can make it available. And I'm going to shoot an email out to all of those who participated on our side and ask for any suggestions so you can be thinking about that.
All right. Well, we can catch up next time, Jim. I don't have anything right now.
Okay, excellent. Take care. Have a good weekend.
Thanks, and same to you.
Bye-bye.